Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is Ron's Amazing Stories, where we play tales to take you away from today. On the podcast this time, we have some alien fiction, followed by a shadow family, and then sharing is caring. Now, have you ever heard of the Shadow? Well, he makes his podcast debut this week with a story about a conspiracy in the death house. Can the Shadow save the day and the life of his girlfriend, Margo Lane?
I should hope so.
Well, before we can find that out, let's head to Egypt for this 5-minute mystery.
Another 5-minute mystery.
This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by Egypt. I think this is the first time we've ever had an entire country sponsor these mysteries. I would tell you more about the country, but I can't read or understand the Egyptian alphabet, which, by the way, contains more than 700 hieroglyphs.
In Shepherd's Hotel in Cairo, a smooth-skinned, fair-faced Englishman is speaking on the phone.
Detective Lindsay, this is James Middleton, room 517, Shepherd's Hotel. Can you come over right away? There's been a murder. Detective Lindsay, a murder. Please hurry.
James Middleton?
Yes, come in, Detective Lindsay. Glad you're here.
An Arab. Deader than a mackerel, too. Looks like he's been dead for several hours. Where's the corpse?
Benny Sauter, jewel merchant from Mecca.
Mecca, eh? When did you discover the body?
I was right here at the time of the murder.
Fine. An eyewitness right on the spot. Can you identify the murderer, Middleton?
I'm afraid this eyewitness isn't going to be much help. Unfortunately, I had my eyes closed.
You what?
I was out cold, unconscious for about 3 hours and a half.
That's tough, all right. Maybe you're lucky to be alive.
You're right, Inspector.
What brings you to Cairo, my friend, in the hottest season of the year?
I'm an engineer for the British.
When did you arrive in Cairo?
Yesterday. I registered yesterday morning.
I see. And you had arranged to meet Sauter here?
Yes, I wanted to buy some jewels while I was here. Rubies and diamonds to be set in a ring for my wife.
I see.
As we were looking at the jewels, someone knocked on the door. I opened it. There stood another Arab. He started toward the center of the room, then turned on me and struck a lightning blow. I went out like a light.
You have got a nasty bump, all right.
Sauter got what he deserved, that dirty double-crossing rat. Insisted on cash and plenty of it.
How much did you have?
The equivalent of 10,000 pounds in Arabian banknotes.
Quite a lot of money for you to be carrying around.
Yes, but I plan to spend it right away. Funny, isn't it, how naive we can be?
How do you mean?
It's obvious enough. Sauter needed an accomplice to rob me. But he didn't figure out that his greedy cutthroat friend would turn the tables on him, murder him, and make away with the jewels and money, too.
Middleton, you've suffered a great financial loss. But don't let it worry you. You can postpone that trip to the Suez indefinitely. Sorry to spoil your plans, but you're under arrest for the murder of Benny Sauter.
How did Detective Lindsay know that Middleton was the murderer? Do you know? In a moment, Detective Lindsay will tell you himself. But first...
Well, all I have to say is Detective Lindsay must be a very smart man because I didn't catch a thing in this one. But hey, it was a good story, and after all, that's why we're here, isn't it? I'm guessing that the detective is going to pull out some strange facts, apply them to the story, and we'll all be amazed. Let's see.
And now, back to our mystery.
Middleton, your alibi has beautiful logic up to a certain point. Like all criminals, in order to clear yourself, you go one step too far. Sauter was innocent. Your imaginary murderer was quite credible, but you didn't dare to stop there. The Arabs are a strange people. It may interest you to know about one of their strange customs. In the interior, people resort to barter. In the cities, British pounds, Turkish pounds, and Indian rupees are used. But since the time of the great Mohammed, the religious laws of the Mohammedans have prohibited the use of banknotes.
Wow, banknotes are prohibited. Well, I'm not sure how we were supposed to know that and apply it to this crime. I guess in Egypt, you either live by the barter or die by American greed. See how I did that? Well, it'll make sense the more you think about it. This week, we have an email from Rick Barnett, who listens to the show on AM 1520 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rick writes, "Hey Ron, I see you're asking for stories and they don't even have to be real. I tried to think of a true tale that would be interesting, but came up empty. So here is a totally fabricated story that I made up. I do tell it in the first person, like it happened to me, but it didn't. I hope you like it and can use it on the show. Rick." Well, Rick, I do like it, and we will hear your tale in a minute or two on These Are Your Stories. I did want to say something on this subject. I have always believed that every story ever told has some truth in it. We learn by experience, and that experience then applies to our stories. So by default, they do have real components. Mark Twain is noted for saying, "Write what you know." He wasn't just talking about knowledge. He meant to write about something that we have experienced on an emotional level and then come out the other side. We have learned the lesson and have been transformed by the experience. Yeah, that's a little out there, but if you think about it, it is the right thing to do. So Rick, even though your story really didn't happen, it is still partially true. Well, Ron's Amazing Stories has branched out again. AMFM247.com has added another city to their family, which means we can now be heard in Washington, D.C. on WERA 96.7 FM on Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The folks at AMFM 247 continue to expand, and we get to reap the benefits. Thank you, AMFM247.com. Did you know that Ron's Amazing Stories has a weekly blog in addition to the podcast? It is published each and every Tuesday. Articles range from facts to the news and stories to answers to your questions. If you want to follow the blog, head to the main website and click on the tab labeled Blog. Or you can head straight there by going to ronsamazingstories.blog. Now, if you subscribe, you will not only get the latest news and information, but you'll also be notified when a new podcast is published. How about that? And now, this message from Gladys Goodies.
I'm Gladdy, the dachshund, the face of Gladdy's Goodies. Are you worried about your pet's health? My parents were too, especially since I developed pancreatitis. They couldn't find any treats I could eat, so they made some. Our natural treats are healthy for all dogs, with and without health issues. We have lots of delicious flavors like chicken, turkey, salmon, sweet potato, beef, and more. With our homemade treats, you won't worry about the contents because they have no chemicals, fillers, or bad ingredients. Go to GladysGoodies.com now to get your fur friend a bag. And pick them up some swag while you're there. You'll be glad you did. Remember, we have the treats and swag to make their tails wag. Again, that's GladysGoodies.com. Again, that's GladysGoodies.com.
Don't forget to use our very own promo code, RONS, to get a 20% discount on all of your purchases. That is RONS. Thank you, Gladdy. And now, here are your stories.
These are your stories, sent by you, for you.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we have a cool fictional story sent in by Rick Barnett from Las Vegas, Nevada. Here is Rick's story that he calls Klaatu's Visit. I had awoke early that morning. Somehow I knew that this was going to be a special day. I just felt it. Had I known what was in store for me, I might have thought differently about my excitement. Things weren't going to go exactly as I thought. My adventure began with a knock on the door. I went to answer it and found that there was no one there. I looked up, I looked right, I looked left, and no one was to be seen. I thought for sure some neighborhood kid was playing with me and trying to get my goat. So I went back inside, and as soon as I sat back down in my easy chair, the knock came again. This time I thought, I'll get the best of 'em. I snuck out the back door, came around the side of the house, and standing there was a tall gray fellow with huge eyes. It was obvious he wasn't from around here. I looked at the stranger and asked, "What are you?" He looked down at me with his large oval eyes and told me that his name was Klaatu, and that he had come from the stars to talk to me about the planet. I looked at him and I said, "Why come to me? I'm just a lonely guy wishing for some excitement." He said, "Rick, you hold the key to the future." With that, he whisked me up into his arms, and with a bright flash of light, we were somewhere else. When I came to my senses, I looked all around me. I was in a spaceship of sort, that much was certain. There was a bay window right in front of me, and sitting on the shelf was a calico cat. I expected the alien to explain where we were and what had just happened. But it was the cat that spoke. "Hello, Rick." He grinned at me just like something out of Alice in Wonderland. "Welcome to my ship. I am Klaatu." "I thought the alien guy was Klaatu," I replied. "Oh, no. He's just the robot we send about. We have found that Earth people have a real issue speaking to cats." "I can understand that. Where are we, and what do you want?" I was starting to get annoyed with this obvious dream. Surely none of this was real, I thought. "Oh, it's quite real. I brought you up here to show you your planet. Things are not going very well down there, and you have to do something about it." "Me? I'm a nobody, just a guy from Las Vegas. What can I possibly do about it?" I retorted. "Well, it all begins with you. If you stand up and take care of things, people will take your lead, and together you can make a change." Klaatu began to purr and lick his thick calico coat. "Are you going to help me? You know, give me some high-tech gear, or perhaps give me superpowers?" I asked hopefully. "No," he grinned again. "But if you don't do something, your planet is gonna die, and you don't want that, do you?" "No," I had to admit. "What do you suggest?" "Look at your own life. Change begins small and then grows. You can do more than you know." There was another flash of light, and I was standing back on my very own porch. I went inside, fell into my comfortable easy chair, and began to plan how I was going to change the world. Rick Barnett from Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, Rick, that was a great story, but I'm not so sure that this is fictional. I'm thinking that this is your plan on how you're going to change the world. You're going to tell us to get off our butts and do something to protect our home. Nicely done. And thank you for your story. This next story is a creepy one and was sent to us from Duane Lopez, Flagstaff, Arizona. Here is Duane's story that he has titled Call of the Shadows. It was when I was a junior in college. My girlfriend at the time got a group of some of her friends and mutual acquaintances together to go on a ghost hunt. It was the two of us, a medium, and a few others. We decided to investigate a local place, Lorenzi Park. It was a good night for it. The area was quiet and there was no wind. We got there an hour before midnight with the intention to see what we could see. The medium asked the spirits to give us a sign if they were there. Nothing happened, so we promptly played on the playground equipment. As it got toward midnight, we all congregated on the playground. Midnight was when the events we had read online about the place was supposed to start. We had read about a little boy that played on the swings and would sit on your lap if you sat on the right one. So our attention was on the swings. One of the girls asked what time it was because the flag was moving and it still wasn't windy at all. Of course, it was midnight. That could have been nothing, though. It could have been windy up high and not down below. I wasn't sure how much I believed in our medium anyway. It was about that time I got a strong urge to head off towards the dark corner of the park. To describe the park, the playground is at the top of the hill. At the bottom of the hill is a fence and a school. Facing the school is a church, which has a small graveyard in the back. To the east is a residential area. The entire park has a path around it, with a few trees, benches, picnic tables, and lights. The east side is badly lit, and the back corner by the school is almost completely dark. I felt the urge to go there, and I convinced the medium to come with me. I didn't say anything, but after a while it looked like there was a shadow guy by the fence. He was just far enough out of the shadows so that I could see him. He was leaning against the fence, arms folded, tapping a foot. The urge to go there got stronger. I started towards that corner to see what he wanted. He got angry and moved further away towards the back corner by some picnic tables. That was on the school property, and there were high fences, so we couldn't get there. The medium and I tried to talk to him, but got no reply. For the record, she could see him too. He moved towards a picnic table where a woman and two smaller shadows sat. We could clearly see that they were just shadows. They weren't people. I could feel anger coming from them. It honestly felt like they wanted me dead, which was weird. We couldn't get them to answer or come closer, so we went the long way back to the playground to come around the other side. When we came back around, we heard a horrible scream coming from the schoolyard. We picked up the pace, but when we got to the area, it was empty. The medium told me that she could no longer feel their presence. On the way to my girlfriend's house, the medium told us that she had seen the group of shadows come from across the street from the church. She also described the woman as being dressed in white. She was convinced that it was a family. She said, "Mom went crazy because Dad cheated on her. She killed the kids, then killed him, and then herself." I tried to do some research, but never could find anything on the internet or newspaper archives. So I don't know. What I do know is, whenever I go by that park, I get a headache and a strange urge to go back alone. It's crazy. Duane Lopez, Flagstaff, Arizona. That is a crazy story, Duane, and I'm happy that you shared it with us. please do us a favor and never go back to that park at night alone. Okay? Our last story comes from Laura and was sent from Parts Unknown. I tried to contact her, but the email she left me was fake. I almost decided to reject this story, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. Laura has titled it, Sharing Can Be Caring, and I hope you like it. Today, I went to buy groceries at a food store. Life has been difficult lately. There was a fraud on my bank account, and because of that, I was overdrawn by $200. I had been looking for work, and money was tight. I had to leave my last job because management stole my tips and didn't pay any overtime. So here I was with a $20 bill that was borrowed from a kind friend. I was trying to buy enough groceries for the week. I explained to the cashier that I might not have enough for everything in my cart. Then I noticed a man in line at another register staring at me with a smile on his face. I was certain that I didn't know him. I was thankfully able to afford most of my items, but I had to skip some due to my limited budget. The strange man kept smiling at me and staring. I made the sign of the cross and said a quick prayer. After paying, I sat down at one of the tables to drink the tea I had bought. The strange man approached me, and I was a bit scared. He handed me a $10 bill and said, "I hope this can help you." I managed to thank him before he walked away, and yes, I went back through the store to pick up a few additional items. God bless you, caring stranger. I hope to one day repay you by paying for someone else's groceries as you did for me. Laura from Parts Unknown. Well, Laura, I hope that things have improved for you now. I know how hard and unfair life can be at times. We all can use a little kindness, and it sounds like you understand that. Thank you for sharing your story. It truly is amazing. Do you have a story that you want to tell on the show? If you do, we want to hear it. It can be about any subject and from any genre. Heck, it doesn't even have to be true. Original fiction or stories from the public domain are quite welcome. To submit them, just head to ronsamazingstories.com and click on the Story Submissions banner. Fill out the form, and soon your story will be heard. Do you have a story but don't want to write it? That's okay too. Just leave your contact information, a brief description of your story, and I'll get back to you. We can write it together. However, if you don't do it, your story remains just that, your story. Why not make it our story? This week, we feature a creepy tale from the golden age of radio. I just love saying that. It comes from the classic series, The Shadow. The Shadow was originally published in the 1930 pulp mags and then in a wide variety of media, including radio, magazines, American comic books, comic strips, a television series, video games, and at least 5 featured films. The Shadow has made its mark on us, and he is still doing it today. Our tale this time is called Murder in the Death House, and it first aired on January 7, 1940.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
The Shadow, mysterious character who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. The shadow uses his hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so that they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margo Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the unseen voice of the shadow belongs. Today's story, Murder in the Death House. It is 7 o'clock in the evening. Margo is in the office of Wilson M. Tuttle, head of the new reform party called the Citizens Committee.
Miss Lane, I'm going to make you my aide in the Women's Division of the Citizens Committee. You've shown such zeal in recruiting people to our cause.
Well, the cause of a cleaner state is one that isn't hard to work for, Mr. Tuttle.
You're right, Miss Lane. As you probably know, I'm an amateur at politics myself. But when I understood what graft and corruption there was in our state, I decided it was time for me to take an active interest.
Well, if we get Warden Cooper in the governor's chair, things in this state will change for the better.
I hope so. But the machine that controls things in this state isn't going to give up without a fight. And I can promise you it won't be a fair one.
You mean that they'll try to discredit Warden Cooper in the voters' eyes?
Certainly. There's a ring of racketeers and mobsters in this state headed by one man. The underworld refers to him as the Brain. That's all anybody seems to know about him.
Well, I know one person who'd like to meet him.
And who is that, Miss Lane?
Why, a friend of mine. Oh, by the way, what time is it?
7:20.
7:20? Good heavens, and I was supposed to meet Lamont at 6:45. I've got to go, Mr. Tuttle.
But I haven't told you what your duties are.
Well, I'll come and see you tomorrow. Lamont will be furious.
All right, Miss Lane. I'll expect you at the People's Rally tonight, though. Margo, would you mind telling me where I'm going in such a hurry?
To a meeting of the Citizens Committee, Lamont, and we're late now.
Oh. Margo, just what is this Citizens Committee?
What is it? Why, it's the most potent organization in this town. We're fighting crime and corruption, crooked politics and graft.
Oh, easy, Margo, easy. I'll have to get you a derby and a soapbox.
But, Lamont, with Warden Cooper as our candidate for governor and Wilson Tuttle behind us, we ought to sweep the state.
Whew, you take another corner like that and the state will be sweeping us out of a ditch. Say, who is this fellow Tuttle?
A retired lawyer. He has scads of money. And with his support behind us...
Here we go, sweeping the state again. Too bad you won't be alive to enjoy it.
Oh.
Say, Margo, what does this Citizens Committee stand for?
Law and order. And we're going
Law and order, eh? Now, listen, Margo. I know Warden Cooper, and if he's elected, the first thing I'm going to have him clean up is reckless driving, and I do mean you.
Oh, but, Lamont, I've simply got to hear the speeches.
Has it ever occurred to you that you have a radio in this car of yours?
A radio? Oh, please, Lamont, Oh, yes, of course I have.
And the speeches are being broadcast?
Oh, dear, so they are. Why didn't I think of that?
That, Margo, might come under the heading of womanly intuition.
It takes a second to warm up.
A cause that every citizen of our great
That's
country should be
speaking.
proud to fight for. The cause of law and order.
Oh, isn't he wonderful?
He's a powerful speaker, but I don't...
Shh, Lamont, I want to hear this speech. It's the...
We have the governorship of our state. A man who, if elected, would make this state the cleanest in the country. Warden Richard Cooper. Unfortunately, Warden Cooper cannot be with us tonight in person. He has his duties to perform at the state penitentiary, but he will speak to us from there by special wire. Ladies and gentlemen of the Citizens Committee and of our state, I give you Warden Richard Cooper, our next governor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tuttle spoke of the duties that keep me here at the penitentiary tonight. I believe you all know what those duties are. Tonight, Killer Gorin is to pay his debt to society, and a large debt that is. At this very moment, Gorin sits in a death house of this prison. He boasted that he couldn't be captured and convicted. When he was captured and convicted, he boasted that we couldn't execute him. that the leader of his ring of racketeers and mobsters would rescue him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the night when Killer Gorin will pay for his crimes against society. I stand on my record. Killer Gorin will die in the chair tonight.
The warden says I'm going to croak in the chair tonight, eh? That's a good laugh.
You ain't got very long, Gord.
I ain't got long? I got my whole life in front of me. They're not going to fry me tonight. I got connections.
Pipe down, Gord.
I don't have to pipe down for you, screw-up, or anybody else. You can tell that to your warden.
Gord, I've never seen a man as hard as you. You asked for a radio to hear the warden's speech when you knew he was going to talk about you going to the chair.
I'd just like to hear my name mentioned coast to coast.
Gorin, if you weren't going to... Well, you'll get yours.
Gee, Gorin, you oughtn't act like that tonight.
What about tonight?
Well, look, we're all in this place together. You're going tonight. Smokey over there goes next week, and then I follow.
So what?
Well, I try not to think about it. But you don't give me a chance to forget.
Now, look, Shem, I don't have to worry. I'm getting out. But if it'll make you feel any better, I'll quit talking. Hey, Smokey.
Yeah, Killer?
Give us a song.
No, I don't get him to sing it again. It's too sad.
You heard me, Smokey. Give us a song.
What you all want me to sing, Killer?
Something good and unhappy. We got to keep Chum here cheered up.
Okay. Nobody knows the trouble I see.
Shut up, Smokey, shut up.
Keep it up, Smokey. You're terrific.
Make him drop that song. It's driving me out of my head.
I like it. Keep it up, Smokey.
Tell him to cut it out.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Stop this racket.
Huh?
What's the meaning of all this? Speak up.
It's Smokey singing, Warden. It's driving me nuts.
All right, quiet, you men. Gorin, I've come to tell you that the time has come.
So what?
The chaplain is with me. Wouldn't you like to say something to him?
No.
Please, my son, let me speak with you for a few minutes. I'm sure you'll feel much better.
You're all acting like I was really going to fry tonight. Well, I ain't. You understand, Warden? I ain't going to fry in the chair. And you ain't going to be governor. Because you're going to look pretty silly when people find out you can't run this prison right.
What are you talking about?
The brain don't like you, Warden. And he'd like you even less if you got to be governor. So, he's going to stop you.
The brain?
My boss. Only one guy in this state knows who he really is. And that's me.
And your boss, the brain, as you call him, is out to get me?
Out to get you? He's got you now.
We'll see about that. Guard, unlock Gorin's cell.
Yes, sir.
Gorin, since you refused the comfort that the chaplain has offered you...
Please, son, for the last time.
Let chaplain save your breath. I ain't going to die.
All right, let's start. Guards on either side. Chaplain, you and I'll walk behind.
Come on, Gorin. This is your last mile.
That's what you think.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
This feels
Thy
good.
kingdom come.
I needed exercise.
So long, Gorin.
My white boy. No.
It won't hurt much, Killer. They tell me it's over quick.
I'll be back in a few minutes, fellas.
Open the door, guard.
Just a minute, Warden.
Yes?
Now that you got me where you want me, can I have a last request?
Anything within reason, Gorin?
Well, when they strap me in the chair and they put the clamp on my head, that's what they do, ain't it?
Yes, Gorin.
And then when they turn on the juice, would you hold my hand?
Is the warden ready, guard?
Yeah. He said to wait for his signal to throw the switch.
Good. I'm glad we're getting this over with in a hurry tonight. I want to get home. My wife isn't feeling so well.
Yeah? Is that so?
Yeah, she's been ailing now for... Say, what's the matter with you?
I don't know.
Oh, I get it. You're new here at the prison, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of tough to watch him get it the first couple of times.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Now, you'd better stay in here with me. The warden asks why you didn't come back into the death chamber. I'll tell him that you were helping me.
Thanks.
And it won't be so bad in here. You don't have to watch anything. When I get the signal, I just throw this big switch here, and it's all over in a few minutes.
That's it, huh?
Yep, that's it.
My hand has got to go. You'll be killed. Warden! 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 The executioner, he's...
Shut off the main switch. No, don't touch that. The main switch.
All right.
He's dead. The executioner is dead.
I told you they couldn't kill me.
I don't know what to make of it, Commissioner Weston. Here I thought we had the strongest man in the state as our candidate for governor, and to have this happen.
It wasn't the warden's fault, Mr. Tuttle. The electric chair was rewired to kill the man who touched the switch. But Gorin is going to be executed tonight, for sure. The warden has found a new executioner, and there'll be no slip-ups this time.
I hope not. I hope that Warden Cooper's reputation for efficiency hasn't suffered too much already.
Hi, Commissioner. Remember me?
What? How did you get past the man at the desk?
Well, that's a fine way to greet old
I'll
friends.
have that man McGuire fired. I'll have him broken.
Oh, hello,
what
Mr.
kind of an
Tuttle. I
office
didn't know
is
you
this?
were here.
Yes, Miss Lane. I came to speak with Commissioner Weston about the happenings at the prison.
You two know each other?
Yes, Miss Lane is one of my assistants on the committee.
Oh, Mr. Tuttle, this is Mr. Cranston.
How do you do, Mr. Tuttle?
Cranston, you're an awful nuisance. Why do you bother me all the time? Coming in here like...
Commissioner, I'm writing a book.
What did I tell you, Mr. Tuttle? This man haunts me, never leaves me alone.
What kind of a book, Mr. Cranston?
Well, it's not much of a book at present. It's mostly notes. But I'm going to call it Crime and Its Causes.
Sounds very interesting.
Interesting. What can an amateur Sherlock Holmes know about crime and its causes?
You're right, Commissioner. Absolutely right. I'm just an amateur, no experience. That's why you're going to get me into the death house of the state prison tonight as a guard.
What?
So I can get some local color for my book, some authentic realism.
You think I'm crazy?
No, but you better watch your blood pressure, Commissioner.
Now, look, Weston, tonight Gorin is going to the chair. Don't you see what drama there is there?
There may be drama there, but you're not going to be there as a guard or anything else.
But my literary future depends on it.
No.
Please.
No.
If I promise not to bother you for a month.
Absolutely no. I wouldn't. What?
1 whole month, just for one night, as a prison guard.
Now you're talking. Cranston, if I get you into the prison tonight, you'll stay away from me for a month.
Word of honor.
Cranston, you've made a bargain. But to insure me from you for at least a week, you're going to stay in the death house not just one night. You're going to stay there for 7 whole days. I'll show you.
Are you Kenzie?
Yeah. You're the new guard, ain't you? Warden said you'd be on tonight with me.
Yeah.
Well, things are pretty quiet right now. But you never...
Hey, Kenzie. Who's the new screw?
Shut up, Gorin.
Hey, just a minute, Kenzie. I'd like to talk to Mr. Gorin.
Sure, let the gent speak with me, Kenzie.
So, you're the notorious killer Gorin, huh?
Well, I ain't the warden. What's your moniker?
My name's Jones. John Jones.
I'm pleased to meet you. Now, look, Screw. Just to get things straight around here, I run this place. What I say goes. Get it?
I understand what you said, if that's what you mean.
Oh, a smart guy, huh? You know, it ain't everyone that can talk back to me and get away with it.
So everyone's afraid of you, huh?
Sure. I'm the guy that can't kill.
Say, how did you work that, Gorin?
I get connections. Now you got to know the right people, Screw.
You certainly was an amazing escape from the chair, all right.
Yeah, it sure was. Did you see the spread I got in all the papers?
Yeah. Listen, you'll pardon me for saying it, but I don't think the pictures did you justice.
You know, that's just what I think. I'm a better-looking mug than those newspaper pictures showed me up to be.
Why, sure. You ought to have your own photographer take them. Then you could be sure.
Say, that's a swell idea, Joan. I'll do that. You know, I like you. Maybe I can help you.
Yeah? How?
By having you meet up with the real bunch that's running this state.
You're a smart guy, Gorin.
Yeah. There's only one guy in this state who's smarter.
Yeah?
Yeah, the brain. He's the one who had the chair rewired and bumped off the executioner last night.
Oh,
I wondered how that was done.
He runs everything in the state. Every racket, every mob. You think the warden runs this prison?
Well, who does?
Brain. We've got men planted all over this place.
Gee. How would a guy get in with him?
You mean you'd like to get in?
Yeah.
Maybe you are in. If I say so. Now listen. Tonight when the break comes...
The break?
You don't think I'm going to stick around and give him another chance to put me in the chair, do you? I did last night because the brain ordered it. It was to make the warden look bad so he wouldn't have a chance of being governor.
Say, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, we thought so. But you ain't very smart, Cranston.
What did you call me?
Cranston. I know why you're here, Stool.
I see. How did you know my name?
I got ways of finding out.
Then you knew all the time. Then all that talk about the jail break was just...
There's going to be a break, all right. But it ain't going to do you any good to know about it. I'm going to bump you off myself. Just before.
Well, maybe you are, and maybe you're not.
Nice work, Kenzie.
Gosh, Gordon. Suppose he'd seen me coming up behind him. Suppose he'd been able to get to the warden.
Well, he didn't, so don't worry, Kenzie. Now go on, drag the guy Cranston over in the corner. They're out of sight. When the break comes, I'll fix him so he'll never talk again.
Come in, Mr. Hartnett. Sit down.
Hey, thanks, Warden.
Now, Mr. Hartnett, as our new executioner, you realize what your job is, don't you?
Yes, Warden, I realize.
It's not a pleasant task, but it's one that must be done. You must realize that when you throw the switch, that you're not the one who is executing the man. It's the state and the people of the state. And the man is merely paying for his crimes.
Please, Warden, I'd rather not talk about that part of it.
All right. Well, I've had electrical experts in from town. They've been going over everything all day, but just to make sure, you'd better go over the equipment again.
Yes, sir.
And that's all for now. Can you be ready in about 45 minutes for the execution?
Yes, sir. And thank you, Warden.
That's all. Poor fella. Scared stiff. Well, can't say I blame him. Huh? Who's that? Who just came in? It must be my imagination. This business has got me pretty jumpy.
No, Warden Cooper. It's not your imagination.
Who's there? I can hear your voice, but I can't see you.
Men call me the Shadow.
Shadow?
You've heard of me?
Yes, I've heard of you, Shadow. You fight crime and injustice. You're the fellow nobody can see.
Yes. And that's why I'm here.
What do you want of me?
What do you know of the murder of the executioner?
Nothing, Shadow.
Strange it should happen after Gorin had boasted that he couldn't be killed in the chair.
Shadow, I'm fighting for law and order. Killer Gorn will definitely die tonight. At this very moment, the new executioner is testing the equipment.
What?
There'll be no slip-ups this time.
When did he go to test the equipment?
Just a few minutes ago. Why?
Warden, I've just examined the wiring. Those men you hired to go over it have fixed it so that the whole west wall of the prison will be blown off at the first touch. It was planned for a prison break. Quick, we must stop him before he touches anything.
Come on.
It's too late, Warden.
Stop! Stand where you are or fire.
Get out of my way, screw!
Go back to your cells or I'll fire.
There's only one guard and 20 of us. The rest of the guards on this side must have been knocked off in the explosion.
Get out of my way, guard, or we'll let you have it.
Shoot him if you don't. Go on, shoot him.
That's got him. Come on, man.
Stop where you are. All of you, stop.
Hey, look. That gun's hanging in the air by itself.
Yeah.
The Shadow is holding that gun.
Shadow, let me have.
Go back to your cells. Go back, I say.
If there ain't nothing there, how can it stop it?
Yeah.
Come on.
Get out of here.
Does that convince you? I fired above your heads that time, but the next time I'll aim lower.
I guess he ain't kidding. Let's go back. Come on.
All right, Warden. We've got some stuff for a minute.
All right.
Lock him in.
Let's go back.
Shadow, are you still here?
Yes, Warden.
I want to thank you for what you've done. I don't know how I could have stopped that prison break without you.
I've failed, and so have you.
But the prison break is stopped.
The prison break is stopped, but Killer Gorin has escaped.
But was it necessary for you to bring these reports over to me tonight, Miss Lane?
Well, I suppose they could have waited until tomorrow for your signature, Mr. Tuttle, but, well, I had nothing to do, so I thought I'd bring them over tonight. Now you can have more time to look them over.
Well, thank you very much. I'll do that.
My, you have a lovely home here, Mr. Tuttle.
Yes, well, Miss Lane, it won't be necessary for you to remain. I can go over these reports from the Citizens Committee myself.
Oh, I don't mind waiting. I've got nothing else to do since Lamont got locked up in prison as a guard.
Yes. Well, I'll just sign these papers then, and you can take them back to town with you.
What, without reading them first? Oh, no, that's very bad business, Mr. Tuttle.
But my eyes are bad. I think it would be better for...
Oh, I'll be glad to read them to you.
Please, Miss Lane, I think you'd better go now.
But I have no place to go, and I love to read aloud.
I think you'd better go, Miss Lane.
Oh, there's your doorbell, Mr. Tuttle. You want me to answer it for you?
No, I'll get it.
Why, it's Killer Gorin.
Yes, my little busybody, Killer Gorin.
What's the dame doing here, boss?
He came to see me about the Citizens Committee report. She wouldn't go.
I'll go now, Mr. Tuttle.
Oh, no, my dear Miss Lane. Now you're going to stay here. Permanently.
What? Mr. Tuttle, you want...
Yes, Miss Lane. Wilson Tuttle, known to the world as a prominent citizen on the side of law and order. But my associates know me as the brain.
Then you're the one who's been trying to ruin Warden Cooper. Spoil his chances of being governor.
Yes, my dear Miss Lane. Now you know, but your knowledge will do neither you nor the police any good. Because, you see, you're going to die here.
Oh, no. No, you couldn't. I won't say anything.
Too late, Miss Lane. You would insist on staying. Gorin, give me the gun.
Sure. Yeah, boss.
Turn your head, Miss Lane. I should like very much to get a nice, clean profile shot.
Oh, you can't do this thing. You can't.
Goodbye, Miss Lane. It was so nice knowing...
Oh.
Hey, what is this? What's happened to you, boss?
The same thing that's going to happen to you, Gorin.
Oh, Lamont, you're here.
Yes, Margo, and just in time, too.
Are they unconscious?
For about 5 minutes, I should say.
Oh, you know, Shadow, if I could see you, I'd say I was very happy to see you. Stick around, will you?
I'll stay until the police come to put these men away. But I've got to get back to the prison.
Prison? But your work is done there.
The Shadow's work is done, Margo. But Lamont Cranston promised Commissioner Weston that he would stay in prison for a week. I've got to help him keep that promise.
Well, Miss Lane, I just sent for Mr. Cranston. He ought to be here in my office any minute.
Do you think prison has changed him much, Warden?
I bet it's knocked some of the crazy notions out of his head.
Oh, Lamont, darling, it's so nice to see you.
Hello, Margo. And Commissioner. Hello, Cranston. We're here to let you know that you're being pardoned for good behavior. Thank you.
How about the crime book, Lamont? Did you get any worthwhile material?
Oh, we must have, yes. What with the prison break and escapes. I'll bet you got some exciting data, Cranston.
Well, I did write one chapter when I was here.
About the perils of a guard in the death house?
Worse than that, Commissioner. The perils of riding with a woman driver.
Oh, Lamont.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
Did you like that? What an incredibly rich story with superb acting and storytelling, both of which were trademarks of the series. Bill Johnstone voiced the character of the Shadow in the story you just heard. He is actually my favorite version of the Shadow, and yes, I am including Orson Welles in that list. Johnstone played the Shadow for 5 seasons, from 1938 to 1943. Do you want to know the origin of the name? The Shadow knows. In order to boost the sales of their detective story magazine, Street and Smith Publication hired David Chrisman, an advertising agent, and writer-director William Sweets to adapt the magazine's stories into a radio series. Chrisman and Sweets felt that the upcoming series should be narrated by a mysterious storyteller with a sinister voice and began searching for a suitable name. One of their scriptwriters, Henry England Charlotte, suggested various possibilities such as The Inspector or The Sleuth. All of these were turned down. Charlotte then proposed the ideal name for the Phantom Announcer, The Shadow. The rest of the story is simply history. If you want to hear more episodes of The Shadow, then head to the Internet Archive, archive.org, and search for The Shadow. There you will find over 200 episodes, and all of them are available for free. How about that?
See the USA in your Chevrolet. America is asking you to call. Drive your Chevrolet through the USA. America's the greatest land of all. On a highway or a road along a levee, performance is sweeter, nothing can beat her. Life is completer in a Chevy. So make a date today to see the USA and see it in your Chevrolet.
Traveling east, traveling west, wherever you go, Chevy service is best. Southward or north, near place or far, there's a Chevrolet dealer for your Chevrolet car.
So make a date today to see the USA and see it in your Chevrolet.
Well, this week is done, and I could not have done it without Rick Barnett, Duane Lopez, and Laura. Thank you, guys. If you want to follow the podcast or the blog, just head to ronsamazingstories.com. There you will find an amazing number of links that will fit every need. Do you want to help the show? The best thing you can do is to tell your friends all about it. And please do leave reviews or feedback wherever you listen. Those reviews help us to grow. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come again to find out what are Ron's Amazing Stories.
All of the vintage audio used in the podcast is believed to be in the public domain. Ron's Amazing Stories does not own the rights to any of the old-time radio used here. If you hold the rights to any of the shows played, please contact us immediately at ronsamazingstories.com.